Hello, so today I'm going to talk to you about how I break in my pointe shoes and different methods. First of all, some notes. Each shoe has its own kind of break-in method. For example, some shoes are stronger than others, have stronger shanks, and sometimes different brands vary with the demi point and how to break them in. For example, some brands I find much harder to break in than others. Now, these shoes that I wear are Grishko, so I'm going to show you how I break in a Grishko. I've also had Bloch shoes with TMT technology. Now, those have like plastic shanks and they have a very specific method for breaking in. Basically, you use a hairdryer on them, on the shank and the box to mould it to your foot, and you can pop them in the microwave apparently for a few seconds. Now, those shoes have their own unique method, so the methods I'm going to show you now won't really work for those shoes, and neither will these methods work for Gaynor Minden's, because again, they're a modern shoe with plastic and God knows what, and they basically don't really require breaking in as such because they have their own kind of technology going on. Personally, I don't feel Gaynor Minden's work for me, so I won't be able to show you how to break in Gaynor Minden's. Also, the demi point in some brands is tougher to break in, but again, what I show you today you can use on other brands of pointe shoes. Also, 3/4 shanks are easier to break in my personal opinion. So if you have a shank that is 3/4 or half, then you will find you won't really need too much breaking in as such. There's also methods where you can break in your shoes using things like hammers and door jabbing and God knows what else. I'll speak about that later. And please don't go too mad breaking your shoes in because you want them to last. And if you're quite new to pointe, it can be easy to damage your shoes in the wrong place. So please be careful and preferably ask your teacher to help or a more experienced dancer that you know, because it is tricky at first to learn how to break in your shoes correctly. Also, another good point is if you've just bought your first pair of pointe shoes, make sure you get them checked over by your teacher first before you sew your ribbons and elastics and before you break them in, because if your teacher finds the shoes aren't right for you, you will need to take them back and get a different pair. So that's a very important thing to take note of. And another thing is, some teachers and dance schools like you to have your shoes clean and not so dirty. So if you're going to break your shoes in, I recommend popping them on with a pair of socks over the top to keep them clean. So when you go to class, they're as clean as they can be. Obviously, they're going to get dirty in class anyway, but I know how some teachers are kind of fussy about that. So I just wanted to let you know before you end up getting your shoes dirty. Okay, let's get on with the video. Okay, so have your pointe shoes on with your tights and toe pads, whatever you wear. And I like to break in shoes on a good surface, so I don't recommend carpet. Make sure you've got a good floor. I've got a ballet bar, but you can use a back of a chair or anything like that really, even a kitchen counter. I stand in parallel and I do sort of roll throughs with my shoes to break in the demi point. So basically you start on point one shoe and you roll down, and as you roll down, the other foot comes up onto point. This is basically breaking in your demi point area. So you do as many of those as you can. I like to do these every day. The second thing I do is basically just roll through my shoes in first, and then I do a plie as well. I'll start there and basically push down to break my shoes into my arch, come up and roll back down. I do that in all positions. Another thing you can do is basically take your shoe and push right over. This helps break in shoe to your arch. So just trying to, like that. Some dancers like to put the other shoe like pressed into their arch. To break in the demi point, simply I just walk around like this and then push down into the demi point like so. Now if you find your vamp is kind of restricting you, what you can do is you can get a cotton bud or a little piece of cotton wool, dampen it a little and press it in the centre of the vamp where it's restricting you, just to break down the shoe a little bit. Don't soak the shoe, you'll damage the box completely. And just apply it to the middle of the vamp to basically soften this area. You can also do this kind of method on any areas of the shoe where you feel it's really pressing into you and it needs more help with breaking in. So some dancers get on the side of the box, they find there's areas where a bit stiff, need help, so they dab a bit of water on that area, tiny bit of water, not much. Another thing you can do to soften your box is to use your hands and basically just mould it, just push down gently and mould it down. I like to flatten my box as well, which I do by basically stepping on the centre of the box with my heel or my forefoot, just gently crushing it so it's a bit flatter, but don't crush it too much because you don't want to damage your box and make it break down. Other dancers sometimes like to place the actual box into a door and slam the door on it to make the box flatter and to break down the shoe quicker. This is fine to do on some brands. You can do it on all kind of shoes like this if you want to, but I don't really recommend it because it breaks the shoe down quickly. It's okay if you're a professional ballerina, for example, and you need your shoes broken quickly, fine, that's great. But if you're doing ballet as a hobby or whatever, you want your shoes to last longer, I suggest not doing that method. I'm going to show you how to find out where to break your shanks in. So take your shoe, put it on your foot like this, step on point whilst you're sitting down in the shoe, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to find out where you need to break your shank in. How to do this is you're on point in the shoe, you get your finger, roll the shoe back like this and find out where your arch is. Now as you can see, my arch is about there, I'd say. So basically hold your shoe in that place, slip your shoe off. You will then be still holding it where you need to break it in, and basically you can mark it with a pen to make life easier, and you're just going to bend your shank, holding your shoe with the other hand, bend the shank backwards so it forms nice and bent into your shank, into your arch, like so. As you can see, mine are bending quite easily, but then again that's because I have a super soft shank and those kind of shanks bend really easily, whereas you'll find if you've got a tougher shank it will require some work. Now another thing to do is roll your shoe fabric back like this so you expose the shank, and to break the shank in a bit more, another thing you can do is press it against the wall, holding with your fingers where you need it broken in, and basically with your other hand grip the shoe and press and roll the shoe into the wall. Now don't go too abrupt because you don't want to actually snap the shank in half, and just press and roll like that. Now that will soften your shank and break it in where you need it to be broken in, and then I'll just bend it and push it into the wall. As you can see, it helps a great deal. But don't go too mad with your shoe because you do not want to break it. I hope this video has helped you learn how to break in your shoes. There are lots of other methods out there, but that's how I do mine. Now do bear in mind, some shoes do take longer to break in and it can become very frustrating, but just take your time and your shoes will eventually get to how you want them. Another thing to mention is some shoes are noisier than others, which basically means that the platforms cause more noise. Now if you're doing a performance, you will want your shoes to be quieter. You can custom order shoes with the fact that they won't be as noisy. Grishko do them. For example, the 2007 Pro comes with sound absorbing technologies in the box and the platform area to make sure that they are quiet on stage. You can get that kind of technology put into any Grishko shoe if you custom order. Also, some others don't come with that option, like other brands don't come with that option to special order. So basically what you can do is get a hammer and you just smash it on top of the platform lightly, and you can also whack it on pavement, which is what some professionals do in order to take the noise out of their shoes. But yeah, with Grishko it's a lot easier because you can just request it if you're doing a special order for them to have the noise reduced in the platform. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any requests, please ask me and I'll do them for you. Thanks.